Beneath the sun-drenched glamour of Montecito, behind the perfectly curated Instagram moments and the carefully polished interviews, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's world is quietly beginning to fall apart. Insiders whisper of a storm brewing behind the scenes, a storm that even their most loyal supporters are finding increasingly hard to ignore. What once seemed like a bold new chapter for the Sussexes, free from the constraints of royal protocol, now appears more like a slow, painful unraveling of a dream that has turned into a living nightmare. Over the past year, the cracks have become impossible to hide. High-profile media deals, once hailed as the foundation of their new empire, have collapsed in spectacular fashion. Spotify pulled the plug on their multi-million-dollar deal, with whispers that executives found the couple grifters, more concerned with image than substance. Netflix, once seen as their golden ticket to Hollywood dominance, is quietly reevaluating its partnership amid disappointing returns. And through it all, behind the flashy public projects and smiling appearances, the whispers of tension between Harry and Meghan grow louder with each passing month. For Harry, the transformation has been particularly jarring. Gone is the lively, mischievous prince who once lit up public engagements with infectious charm. In his place stands a man who often appears strained, uneasy, his smiles tighter, his body language more guarded. Friends from Harry's old life, military comrades, former aides, describe a man who seems caught between two worlds: the royal existence he fled, and the uncertain Hollywood life he struggles to embrace. One insider confided, "It's like Harry doesn't know who he is anymore. And worse, he's terrified to admit it." Meanwhile, Meghan's relentless pursuit of a new American identity continues unabated. With projects ranging from lifestyle brands to a much-criticized cooking show that critics labeled style over substance, she presses forward, determined to forge a billion-dollar brand with, or without Harry's natural comfort in the celebrity world. But cracks are showing there too. Observers note that Meghan's ventures often fizzle after initial media hype, leaving behind a trail of questions about authenticity and direction. Her new podcast, meant to empower and inspire, has been accused of offering little more than hollow platitudes, carefully wrapped in self-congratulation but lacking real substance. And yet, the most serious fractures are not in their business dealings, they are in their personal bond. Those closest to the couple speak cautiously but pointedly. Meghan dreams bigger, faster, and harder than Harry is willing or able to chase. Where Meghan sees global domination, Harry sees charity events, surfing trips, quiet weekends with friends. The divergence in their visions for the future is becoming harder to paper over. At public events, body language experts note the subtle but unmistakable shifts. Harry trailing behind, Meghan stepping into center frame, the tension in their glances when they think no one is watching. And while the world sees brief, curated moments behind closed doors, insiders suggest the mood is far less harmonious. Constant pivots in business strategy, a revolving door of advisors and PR specialists, and a growing sense of urgency to stay relevant, all create a tense atmosphere in Montecito. Adding to the pressure is King Charles III's recent and very public rejection of Meghan's overtures for a new project, a rejection insiders describe as swift, decisive, and humiliating. For Meghan, it was a bitter reminder that no amount of media charm can undo the damage caused by years of public grievances and private betrayals. For Harry, it was another blow, confirmation that bridges he had once hoped to rebuild are now ashes scattered to the wind. And lurking beneath it all is a growing fear. What happens if or when Meghan no longer needs Harry? Some royal commentators have begun to speculate openly. Will Meghan, ever the strategist, eventually move on from the man whose royal blood once opened so many doors? Or will she find a way to repackage and reinvent Harry as part of her brand, even as his relevance fades? For Harry, the stakes could not be higher. Estranged from his family, cut off from many old friends, tied to a new world that often seems to fit Meghan far better than it fits him. If the relationship were to collapse, where would that leave the once beloved prince? Some envision a heartbreaking future. Harry marooned in California, fighting for access to his children, struggling to find a place in a world where his royal title is a relic and his once proud cause is overshadowed by scandal and fatigue. And for Meghan, sources suggest she is already plotting her next moves, lining up new partnerships, new alliances, and perhaps even political aspirations that could reshape her future far beyond the shadow of the crown. As the world watches, a brutal truth becomes increasingly difficult to deny. The fairy tale has fractured. The dream has darkened. And not every story ends with happily ever after. Behind the manicured lawns of Montecito, the facade remains intact for now. But beneath the surface, the fault lines widen, the cracks deepen, and the once glittering empire they dreamed of is beginning to crumble, one silent fracture at a time. The question is not whether it will break. The question is when. And when it does, who will be left standing in the ruins?